What if the films you thought were legendary were also too dangerous to watch? Clockwork Orange, Battle Royale. These movies pushed boundaries, sparking outrage and censorship across the globe. Why were they banned? What makes them so controversial that entire governments tried to erase them from history? In this video, we're uncovering the shocking truth behind the most banned sci-fi films of every decade. Films you won't believe were suppressed. Stay tuned for the dark secrets they don't want you to know. 1920s, Metropolis. 1927. Metropolis is widely regarded as one of the most influential sci-fi films in history, but its release in 1927 was met with substantial controversy. Directed by Fritz Lang, the film depicted a futuristic society plagued by class divisions, with workers toiling away in oppressive conditions while the elite live above in luxury. The powerful imagery and themes of industrialization, class struggle, and even Marxist undertones raised alarms in several countries. Due to its portrayal of social unrest and an almost prophetic vision of technological oppression, Metropolis faced censorship and bans in various places. In particular, its depiction of a revolution led by the working class was viewed as potentially inciting unrest. The film was edited and cut in multiple regions to remove the most subversive elements. Even the U.S., during its initial release, feared the political overtones would spark discomfort, leading to cuts in the film. Additionally, the spectacular visual effects and the groundbreaking use of set design made it both a marvel and a challenge for audiences in the conservative era. While Metropolis has since been praised for its cinematic brilliance, at the time it was seen as a dangerous film, too radical for many conservative governments to allow in full. Its legacy, however, as a pioneering sci-fi work remains untarnished. 1930s, King Kong, 1933. King Kong is a legendary film in the history of cinema, but when it was released in 1933, it sparked significant controversy. The film's combination of adventure, horror, and fantasy was groundbreaking, but its racial undertones were highly problematic for many audiences at the time. The depiction of Kong as an enormous, primal creature and his capture of Ann Darrow, a white woman, and his subsequent display as an object of fascination sparked outrage in some circles. The portrayal of Kong's actions in the movie reinforced racial stereotypes, particularly with the depiction of the native primitives who were easily manipulated and feared by the Western protagonists. Additionally, the scenes of Kong's rampage through New York City, terrorizing the population, were seen as a metaphor for the fears of social disorder and racial otherness. Some audiences, particularly African-American critics and activists, saw the film as demeaning, portraying racialized imagery that was seen as harmful and exploitative. While the film was not banned outright in many countries, it was heavily censored in certain markets, and its racial themes continued to spark debate for decades after its release. Despite this, King Kong remains a monumental achievement in filmmaking, with its technical effects and larger-than-life storytelling still revered. However, its controversial portrayal of race has led to ongoing discussions about how films shape societal views. 1940s. The Invisible Man Returns, 1940. While the 1940s didn't witness major sci-fi bans, one notable film that stirred some controversy during this time was The Invisible Man Returns. Released in 1940, this film was a sequel to the 1933 classic The Invisible Man. Though the film itself was less controversial in terms of censorship, it explored dark themes that were unsettling for some audiences at the time. The concept of invisibility and the power it could bring led to moral questions surrounding the ethical use of such power and its potential for abuse. The film's protagonist, who becomes invisible due to a scientific experiment, faces an internal struggle with his growing tendency toward violence and retribution. The themes of unchecked scientific advancement, ethical dilemmas, and the destructive potential of technology were present even during the 1940s. With the backdrop of World War II, the fears of technology being misused or leading to uncontrollable consequences were heightened. Even if The Invisible Man Returns didn't directly address the atomic anxieties that would dominate the following decade. Though the film was not banned or heavily censored, its exploration of invisibility as a metaphor for isolation and abuse of power resonated with audiences in a time when the world was grappling with the ethical challenges brought on by war and technological advancements. The Invisible Man Returns helped lay the groundwork for the more complex, controversial sci-fi films that would follow in the post-war era. 1950s, The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951. The Day the Earth Stood Still is a groundbreaking sci-fi film directed by Robert Wise, which captivated audiences with its warning about the destructive potential of nuclear warfare. Released during the height of the Cold War, the film featured an alien named Klaatu, who comes to Earth to deliver a message of peace. However, Klaatu's warning that humanity's reckless use of atomic weapons would lead to its downfall was seen as a direct critique of the arms race between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. The film was controversial for its anti-nuclear message and its portrayal of a benevolent alien authority that could potentially control Earth's military power. In a time when the United States was deeply engaged in a nuclear standoff with the Soviet Union, the film's premise struck a nerve. Some audiences feared that the film's pacifist message could be seen as subversive or even un-American. Due to its political overtones, The Day the Earth Stood Still faced censorship in certain countries, especially those under strong anti-communist sentiments. Despite this, the film's cultural impact was significant, offering a cautionary tale about humanity's obsession with weapons of mass destruction. Its themes of peace and unity, even in the face of total annihilation, made it an enduring classic that continues to resonate with audiences today, especially in the context of ongoing nuclear disarmament discussions. 1960s, Planet of the Apes, 1968. Imagine a world where apes rule over humans and the very fabric of civilization crumbles under the weight of its own hubris. Planet of the Apes didn't just bring this vision to life, it forced us to question everything we knew about race, society, and the fallibility of mankind. When the film debuted in 1968, it shocked audiences with its grim portrayal of a dystopian future where apes had evolved to dominate humans. But what made it truly controversial were the underlying racial and social metaphors that made many uncomfortable. In a time when the civil rights movement was in full swing, the film's depiction of humans as inferior beings, subjugated and oppressed, struck a powerful chord. The apes' control over humanity mirrored real-world racial hierarchies and oppressive systems of power. The film's shocking portrayal of a world turned upside down was uncomfortable for some, and it became a source of fear and discomfort in many regions. Governments in places like South Africa feared the film's message could stir unrest and challenge the status quo. Planet of the Apes was banned or censored in several countries for its perceived critique of societal structures. Yet despite, or perhaps because of, its controversial nature, the film became a cultural touchstone. It left a lasting imprint on cinema, sparking debates about race, humanity, and power. It wasn't just a sci-fi movie, it was a reflection of the turbulent social dynamics of the 1960s, and its relevance continues to echo today. 1970s, A Clockwork Orange, 1971, Too Far. 1980s, Scanners, 1981. Picture this, a psychic battle so intense that people's heads literally explode. Welcome to Scanners, David Cronenberg's mind-bending sci-fi horror that shattered expectations and boundaries. Released in 1981, Scanners became infamous for its shocking special effects, especially the grotesque and unforgettable exploding head scene. But it wasn't just the gore that made the film controversial. It was the dark and disturbing themes of mind control, human experimentation, and the abuse of power that left a lasting impact. Cronenberg's unique brand of body horror explored the terrifying consequences of psychokinetic abilities and unchecked corporate power, a critique of a society too willing to let technology control humanity. The violence was graphic enough to earn Scanners a place on the infamous Video Nasty list in Germany, and many countries, including Japan, forced the film to be heavily edited before release. Critics and audiences alike were unsettled by the film's graphic depictions of psychic warfare, where the human mind itself becomes the weapon. The intense, often grotesque scenes were not only physically disturbing, but also mentally disorienting, making the audience question the nature of reality itself. In a time when sci-fi was often more about spectacle than substance, the scanners broke the mold and forced viewers to grapple with deeper, more uncomfortable questions. The combination of disturbing visuals and unsettling themes made Scanners a polarizing classic, a film that pushed the boundaries of both its genre and public tolerance for horror. It wasn't just a movie, it was a statement. 1990s. Hardware, 1990. Imagine a world where technology is not only self-aware, but determined to destroy humanity. That's the terrifying reality at the heart of Hardware, the gritty, nihilistic sci-fi thriller released in 1990. Directed by Richard Stanley, the film follows a scavenger who unknowingly reactivates a deadly robot in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, setting off a series of violent and bloody events. But it wasn't just the film's graphic violence that led to controversy, it was the brutal, and anti-corporate and anti-consumerism themes that made Hardware a statement about the future of technology and humanity's growing reliance on it. The film's dark dystopian vision of a world in which corporate greed and technological innovation have run rampant was considered dangerous by some governments. Its nihilistic tone and relentless violence led to censorship or heavy edits in several countries, including the UK, where its disturbing portrayal of a dehumanized future raised alarms. But beyond its violent surface, Hardware raised important questions about the role of technology in modern life. Is the future one of progress or a descent into mechanical destruction? The film's stark visual style, blending post-apocalyptic aesthetics with corporate dystopia, it captured the fears of a generation increasingly surrounded by technology that was out of their control. Hardware may have been controversial, but it offered a chilling glimpse into a possible future where humanity's creations could become its undoing. 2000s. Battle Royale 2000. What if you were forced to fight to the death against your friends? Battle Royale unleashed one of the most provocative, violent, and controversial films ever made. Released in 2000, this Japanese film stunned the world with its brutal premise. A group of teenagers trapped on a remote island and forced to kill each other until only one survives. The violence was graphic, the concept unsettling, and the film's themes of government control and societal collapse hit too close to home for many. Immediately, Battle Royale became one of the most talked about and banned films of its time. Governments around the world, including in the UK, Germany, and even Australia, banned the film outright, citing its extreme violence and disturbing portrayal of youth being manipulated into committing murder. The public outcry was immediate, with critics accusing the film of glorifying violence and corruption among young people. But Battle Royale wasn't just shocking for shock value. It was a biting commentary on the dark side of authoritarianism, the breakdown of society, and the dangers of blind obedience. In a world where every action is controlled and where people are pitted against each other for survival, Battle Royale questions the morality of a system that strips away humanity. What does it mean when survival becomes the ultimate goal? And can human decency survive under such pressure? The film's unflinching portrayal of violence and its social commentary pushed boundaries in ways that few films had dared before. Despite, or because of, its controversy, Battle Royale became a cult classic, influencing countless films and TV shows that followed. It's a shocking reminder of the fragility of civilization and the darkness that can surface when society breaks down. 2010s. The Human Centipede 2. 2011. Forget everything you know about horror. The Human Centipede 2 takes body horror to a level that no one saw coming. Released in 2011, the film took the twisted concept of its predecessor and made it exponentially more grotesque. Following the story of a man obsessed with the first human centipede, he attempts to create his own centipede with 12 victims in the most horrific, sexually violent ways imaginable. The film's shocking content pushed the boundaries of what was considered acceptable cinema, forcing it to be banned in the UK and heavily censored in other parts of the world. It was so extreme that the British Board of Film Classification initially refused to give it an age rating, effectively blocking its release until several cuts were made. But what makes The Human Centipede 2 so controversial isn't just the revolting physical acts, it's the film's unsettling exploration of the human obsession with violence and the way it plays with the very limits of horror. In an era where extreme films were becoming more common, The Human Centipede 2 took the genre to an unforgivable extreme, yet leaving audiences horrified and questioning the very nature of horror itself. It made people ask, when does a film stop being disturbing for artistic reasons and become disturbing for its own sake? The line between fantasy and reality is blurred, and the film's content challenges viewers to reflect on why they're willing to watch the extreme and why the cinema is willing to show it. Though despised by critics, The Human Centipede 2 is a modern-day testament to how horror can still shock and provoke even in an age desensitized to gore. 2020s, Possessor. 2020. Imagine a world where your body isn't really your own, and someone else can take control of it, using it as a vessel for murder. Possessor, Brandon Cronenberg's chilling sci-fi thriller, pushes psychological horror to its most disturbing edge, exploring the depths of identity, technology, and control. Released in 2020, the film immediately became notorious for its violent content and dark themes. The premise follows an assassin who uses advanced technology to hijack other people's bodies and carry out assassinations. What makes the film so unsettling isn't just the graphic violence, but the complex emotional and psychological unraveling of both the victim and the person controlling them. With its surreal, haunting visuals and unsettling body horror, Possessor doesn't just shock, it disturbs on a deeper, existential level. Its graphic violence and explicit psychological horror left audiences uncomfortable, pushing the limits of what's acceptable for many viewers. It faced restrictions in several countries, including the UK and Australia, for its violent content and themes of body autonomy and manipulation. The film isn't just about physical violence, it's a grotesque exploration of the mind and its ability to be hijacked, tortured, and manipulated. As technology advances and human identity becomes more malleable, Possessor offers a nightmarish glimpse into the future. The film asks, who are we if we aren't in control of our own minds? With its provocative and disturbing premise, Possessor is a visceral, unsettling experience that questions the very nature of individuality and control. It's a stark reminder that in the world of sci-fi, sometimes the most terrifying thing is not the alien or the monster, but the human mind itself. These films didn't just push boundaries, they shattered them, leaving audiences unsettled and questioning the very nature of cinema itself. From mind-bending psychological horror to disturbing body manipulation, these controversial sci-fi masterpieces still linger in our minds long after the credits roll. Let us know in the comments which one left you the most shocked, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the forbidden world of cinema.